Welcome to another Secret Influence TV interview. I'm Nick Ronald, and I interview people who have a story to tell or some expertise to share. I interview other influencers, and this can be often many writers, speakers, people who make films, people who are entrepreneurs, anyone who's got a story to share, someone who's got a passion or they've got some expertise they can share with other people. So if you enjoy this interview, do subscribe to this channel. I'll be interviewing more influencers, more people who have stories to tell. And I also share tips on how to be a better influencer, because influencing is the most important skill in life. Today, I'm really excited. Today's interview is called Who is Jonah Badmus? I'm going to be interviewing the creator of Jonah Badmus, which is a character in a series of books, including 12 Hours and Squared Circle. The character is being written by the author, Owugah, who I'm going to be talking to today. And he's going to be talking about the character, his books, and how he approaches writing. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Leroy. So to start, what prompted you to write the first novel?
Well, I used to write screenplays. I have a background in film, and I was trying to make my own film. So I was writing all these screenplays. And the thing about film is you always have to work with other people. So it's a bit like you write a screenplay and it only gets filmed when everybody agrees on it. And I was having trouble getting people on board, getting people to do their bit. So I thought I'd go ahead and write a novel, particularly as today you can publish on KDP. You can go ahead and do your own thing. You don't have to seek approval from anyone, like the old days. So that's how I got started. Okay,
what inspired you to choose the character you chose, to choose the story? The story. What inspired you with your first novel?
So I used to read a lot of Lee Child's books. You heard of Jack Reacher?
Of course, yeah. Yes, no, definitely.
Okay. And I thought to myself, if I could get a character like that, a Jack Reacher, a black Jack Reacher type character, that'll make for a good first novel.
Great.
Yeah.
So is that a type of like genre books? You like the Lee Child, the Jack Reacher style of books? Is that?
Yeah, because Jack Reacher is a very unique character. He's a big man. He's a sort of character like, unlike I said, like a James Bond or most of these characters you see on TV, they don't necessarily look very threatening, but they do all these great things. Jack Reacher actually looks threatening, and he
you're mute. That's it.
Yeah, I was kind of losing my way there. I was talking about Jack Reacher. So yeah, so he's a big man, and he's threatening. And he's the way Lee Child describes him, big man, very, very physical. But it doesn't sort of, he's still quite believable in what he does. My character, I'm kind of going a bit off point here, but with my character, Jonah Badmus, the major difference between the two is that even though he is very big, he's a similar size and height of Jack Reacher. But I make sure that when he does get into these physical altercations, if he's fighting 3 or 4 men, for instance, he actually gets hurt, because in real life, you probably get hurt to fight 3 or 4 men. Yeah. That doesn't happen with Jack Reacher, right? Yeah. He kind of plows through people and just keeps going. Yeah. So my character's kind of different in that way.
Okay, so you
on the physicality side.
It's important to you to keep a sort of element of realism.
Realism to it, yeah.
Okay, and just on the character, how do you choose his name? Is there a story behind you chose his name, Jonah Badmus?
The surname, yes, because I was writing a screenplay called Driven. I'd done
Okay,
several drafts on this screenplay called Driven, and it was supposed to be filmed in Nigeria. So I was going to Nigeria trying to get this whole thing together. It didn't work out.
okay,
But the surname Badmus, my character was called Nero Badmus.
okay,
So two characters of brothers, and one was called Nero Badmus. And I like the surname Badmus. I decided to keep that. And I sort of added Jonah to it. And Jonah, I thought of Jonah came to mind when I thought, do you remember the rugby player, Jonah Lomu, the late rugby player?
yes,
So
yes, yeah, I remember that.
I
Yeah,
thought Jonah, big man. So that's sort of like kind of when I
sure,
get the name Jonah, I think of a big man,
sure.
because of that guy. And so I thought Jonah and Badmus, that would work very well.
It's funny. A lot of writers say that they get ideas, their stories from things in their own life, or from stories they've heard, or people they met. Some of with the characters, other also the other characters in your books, are they based on people some of them based on people you've met in life, or films you've seen? Where do you sort of, because obviously your book is very character driven. Do you
Mm.
get ideas for your other, any of your characters in your book, where is the inspiration from people you met in your life, or story, or is it from other films and books you read? Where do you get your sort of ideas, your characters in a way?
I think my ideas come from everywhere because I'm never sort of like conscious about, okay, I'm going
Sure.
to take from this movie, or I'm going to take aspects of a particular character. I know it just comes to me. And the interesting thing is when I sort of like kind of look back on a lot of my work, I could be sitting there watching a movie that I saw 5 years ago, and I
Sure.
see something that I actually put in my book without, being conscious of it. Because it's like it's in your subconscious, and it kind of comes out in your creativity.
Okay.
Things you've seen and done.
Yeah, no, I think.
Your memory.
um, would you would you say, because I know Jonah, perhaps like Jack Reacher, they walk along the edge of the law. Would you say would you say is a hero, heroic character, or an anti-hero? Is he someone people root for?
Well, he's a bit of an anti-hero. He's all about doing what he feels is right,
Okay,
regardless of how he gets that done, even if it means breaking the law or whatever the case may be. He's
sure.
all about he has a moral code, and he sticks to it, and
Okay,
that's pretty much what he's about. He doesn't say a great deal. He's a lot like Jack Reacher.
sure.
You know, speaks very little. He's more action than words.
I think that's the appeal of characters like Jack Reacher, and there's a lot of other ones in books and film. I think that there's you could say the John Wick, for example, another character very similar. Doesn't say much, but obviously it's a very fast-paced, action-based movie. Could you perhaps describe, without spoiling it, what the basic sort of storyline perhaps is of say your first book, 12 Hours? Where's it set to start with? Is it set in?
So 12 Hours is where I introduce Jonah Badmus, to readers. You're meeting this man for the first time, and without giving away the story, he has to go to Nigeria to find out. He's going to Nigeria to find out to support his brother, who is out there trying to find out who is responsible for. Will I be giving this away?
Don't give away. Don't give away.
Very careful. It's
Um,
put it this way. It's largely set in Nigeria.
okay.
So you have Jonah, and you meet Jonah, and you meet his brother, and the brother has to go to Nigeria to sort something out,
Right.
and he gets to Nigeria and finds himself in a bit of trouble. So Jonah goes out there to help.
Okay. So introduced to.
Without giving it away.
Yes, don't spoil it, definitely. With your second book, Square Circle, do you need to have read 12 Hours first? Do they follow on in that sense, or could you can you read your books independently? Are they standalone?
The way that I write the Jonah Badmus series. So I do. So 12 Squared Circle is a direct sequel to 12 Hours.
Okay.
You could, in theory, sort of like read Squared Circle on its own and enjoy it. But it does follow on from 12 Hours. So I do leave something sort of like a thread, hanging from 12 Hours. And if you carry on Squared Circle, you find out more about where that's going.
Okay.
But 12 Hours is a complete book in itself.
Right.
And it will help to read 12 Hours first before going on to Squared Circle, to do it in that order.
Okay.
But the book that's going to follow that will be A New Journey. And the book that's going to follow the fourth book will be a continuation of the third book. And then the fifth one will be A New Journey. And the sixth will be a continuation of that.
Okay. So
so that's the strategy behind writing the books.
Sure. So you're clearly planning to write some more, planning the next one. Would Jack Reacher obviously did the crossover to film like many character-driven books do? And obviously you've got that sort of background in screenwriting. Would a film of Jonah Badmus's exploits be a vision for you, or any other media like use graphic novels or animation versions? What is there any other directions you'd like to in the future explore with Jonah Badmus?
Well, absolutely. I think that the book reads like a film. Many people have told me that when they read the book, it's like watching a movie. And I have a tendency to write like that because of my background in writing screenplays. My chapters are very, very short. What I tend to do is to get to the point very, very quickly. Because when you're writing a screenplay, you haven't really got time to sort of, describe a whole lot of scenes and things. You need to, in order to keep the story moving forward, you have to get to the point as quickly as possible. It's all about moving it, forward, getting to the point as quickly as possible. You only have 90 minutes for your standard screenplay, which is 90 pages. So my chapters are very, very short, and the stories do move very, very quickly. And so like the other day, someone rang me up and said he got through Squared Circle in about 3 hours, just all in one sitting.
Yeah.
So the books will work very well as movies or animation.
Okay. Well, yeah, no one obviously, definitely. I could see that, and yeah, hopefully it could do that. Yeah, potentially take that crossover in the future. Do you think having writing screenplays has helped you in writing the Jonah Badmus books? Because it's obviously a very different approach, very different style of writing. But do you think it helped start off doing that screenplaying, having that background?
Yeah, I think it's given me a style of my own. Where I know James Patterson does a bit of this as well, where he has very short chapters. But that's the style that I prefer, particularly as today people have short attention spans, unfortunately.
Sure, no course.
My books hopefully will get people to start reading again because they are easy reads. And like I said, the chapters are short, so you don't have to, it doesn't take up too much time of your day. And,
Yes, no, I agree. I'm a writer, copywriter, and I love reading. And I always say to people when I'm writing, sort of try to make short sentences, short paragraphs, short chapters. Makes it easier to read, easier to absorb. And I think anything that encourages people to read is always a good thing. I read on your profile on Amazon that you say you have a passion for cinema.
Yeah.
So what genre, what type of films do you enjoy the most? Is it the Jack Reacher ones? Is it and James Bond? Is it similar type of films that you?
Well, I'm a big James Bond fan, and I like action thrillers. Okay. I like serious dramas. I like anything that's really worth watching. And I also can appreciate films genres that I don't particularly care for. So I can watch a movie, for instance, and identify what's good about it, even though I don't particularly care for that genre. So yeah, very enthusiastic about film.
And when you wrote your screenplays, some of your screenplays, were they similar style as the books you've been writing, or were they different?
Similar, not as interesting, not as action packed. Interestingly,
Okay.
Yeah, I think with Jonah, just sort of gave me that freedom to
Sure.
really express what I wanted my stories to be like.
Did you study? I mean, did you study writing, screenwriting, book writing? Did you, what sort of first, what led you to screenwriting in the first place?
So when I was a kid, I used to write all the time.
Okay.
I've been writing since I was a kid. But what I used to do when I was younger was, when I was a child, was I'd go to the cinema and
Okay.
I'd watch a movie, then come home and write the movie.
Right. Great.
It was my way of kind of owning the movie because we didn't have a video player, couldn't afford one.
Okay. So you always,
So
yeah.
I'll write these. I'll go see a movie, say 3 or 4 times, and try and remember all the lines and everything, just so I could own it and enjoy it at home.
Okay. But obviously always very creative and from a young age.
And of course, I used to write stories at school. I remember reading a story out to my class,
Wow.
and they gave me this round of applause at the end. I felt very proud about that.
Yeah, no, that's that. I mean, there's nothing more motivating than that. But yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that if you started at a young age, I think you've clearly got
Yeah.
that imagination and creativity. What do you read? Do you prefer reading books the old school way in printed, or are you someone who reads them on a phone or
So
Kindle?
I'm going to be honest with you about the reading part of it. I haven't read in a long time. I don't read as easily as I used to. I used to enjoy reading. There's so many distractions today that reading for me now becomes a conscious effort. I need to force myself to read.
Okay.
Because you have YouTube, you've got all of these various forms of entertainment, if you like, things that,
It's true. Sport of choice.
So back in the day, you sat down and you could just read a book quietly to yourself and uninterrupted. It's much harder to do that today. And that's why I think the Jonah books will be good for people who have maybe lost that passion for reading.
Sure.
Because they are, they're
when
not big.
I read the 12 hours, I read it on by public transport. It was all opening up, and that's what I liked about it. Is I could read bits on the tube and I could get back into it easily. It's quite good in that way. That's what I found. I like books where I can read them on the go. Read them on when I'm commuting, and I found that it worked quite well in that, which suited my sort of lifestyle. What's the most important, do you think, aspect of storytelling? Is it the plot, the sort of structure, or is it very much for characters? What do you think is when you're telling a story?
I think characters and plot.
Okay.
Because the reader has to care about the characters. If you don't care about the characters, and you find this a lot in film, if you don't care about the characters, the story's not going to work. You also need to make sure you don't bore the reader.
No, I agree.
Because if you fall in love with your own writing, and I find this, like I was reading an Ian Fleming book. I'm a big Bond fan, so I have all of Ian Fleming's work. And they're nothing like the movies.
Sure, no.
A few of these books are quite boring. Well, they're quite tedious to read, but very well written, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Books can be very well written, but not really interesting to read.
Yeah.
And I think in order to keep your audience, in order to keep your readers coming back for more, you need to keep them entertained and not fall in love with your own writing and with your own work and your ability to describe things and exposition and all of that.
No, I agree. I mean, I've heard the saying, if you don't care what happens to a character in a book or film, then you're not going to finish the book or the film. You need to care what happens to them. You need to, if they're a good character or bad character, you need to want to know what happens to them next. Would you, and following that, so storytelling obviously can be used for many different purposes. It can be used just purely to entertain, or anything. We use storytelling a lot in business for promoting a brand, telling your about when you launch a product or service, you can tell the story of why you do it and how you got started. So I think it's such important skilled storytelling. And we use it. I use it a lot to influence people to follow me on follow my brand and to engage. It's quite a useful skill for informing and influencing as well as entertaining. Do you agree with that? It's that storytelling and in all these different ways. It's not just about entertaining. For example, storytelling can have a moral or lesson in it, particularly children's stories. Is that something important? Is that something used in your books at all? That there's a
not consciously, but like if you take Jonah for instance, I think what Jonah teaches us is that you don't need to be fine. He can physically take care of himself, but that's a last resort for him. It's not a first option. I think the strongest aspect of Jonah's personality is his confidence. I think it's important for all of us to find some confidence within ourselves as we go through life, because we will face challenges, and Jonah doesn't back down. So it's not about, he doesn't back down just because he can beat a few people up. He has that inner confidence. And I think that's something we can all learn.
Even if it's not a sort of purposeful, obvious message, I think yes. any good story, any good book or film will influence the audience. I think because if it doesn't influence the audience, it's not really having an impact in some ways, perhaps. Who's your target audience? Who do you think who your book's aimed at? Is there a particular sort of age group or the?
I would say anyone who enjoys a Jack Reacher book would love Jonah. Right. I don't have a sort of target audience in mind. A lot of women seem to read novels. So a lot of my readers have been women. I don't know if they love Jonah, but, or women that just read more than men. But I don't have a target audience in mind.
Okay.
I'm just hoping. I suppose I'll find out soon enough who are buying my books the most. But at the moment, it seems to be women buying the books.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, perhaps like you say, it's a main character, and I'd say it appeals to obviously the female demographic. How important do you think a book cover is? We know the saying, don't judge a book by cover, but at the same time, first impressions are very important. Do you? I know you got one of your copies of your book there. We can have a look at the book cover. How do you think? Show me the book cover. I mean, how do you know?
This is 12 hours.
Okay, great.
Can you see that?
Yep, lovely. 12 hours.
I created these myself.
Okay.
And it's a squared circle.
So
and what I've done is identical format.
Did you have a particular concept in mind? Was it? Did you approach it? Did you want to give a certain impression? With the colours you chose and what was there for?
So you see the T-shirt I'm wearing. This was the original 12 Hours cover. Can you see it?
Yes. Okay.
So I got this done by someone who I found online.
Okay.
And I decided to for the second book, because I did this cover for the second book, and I thought, okay, it'd be a good idea to have like a standard kind of format for the covers. Lovely. So I went back and I redid the first cover myself. But the idea behind the covers for the Jonah Badmus books is you never see Jonah. I sort of leave the image of Jonah to your imagination. And so you've got the description, of course, in the book, but I want you to sort of imagine in your head what that looks like.
Okay.
And, what I also try to do is to take a scene from the book and use it as the cover.
Okay, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah. So you've got I won't tell you what scene that is, but yeah.
Oh, don't spoil it. So
got it on the cover.
Are you planning another novel? Have you started?
Yeah. So the third Jonah Badmus book should be out by August.
Oh, exciting.
I've already written that. I've had that written for months now.
Okay.
I just need to edit it. And the fourth one, I already know what that's about.
Oh, right. So you plan, obviously you plan ahead.
Yes, it makes my life.
Sorry, what's your right? How do you approach writing? Do you, because you said earlier, very distracted. We've got, families and work. How do you sort of schedule in your time and tell everyone don't disturb me and just sit down and.
No, when I'm writing, it doesn't matter what's going on in the background.
Okay.
Usually when I write, I know exactly. So I would have already kind of sort of. I would have I would have had like a sort of write. I would have written what the story's about, where the beginning, the middle, the end. I already know all of that, and so when I'm a bit like filling in the blanks. It's like an exercise, filling in the blanks. I'm not sort of making up the story as I go along.
Sure.
So a lot of the time, I'm just sort of writing dialogue.
Okay.
I already know where the story's going.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what's happening in the background because I'm not trying to figure things out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So by the time you sit down writing, you've already got that structure, that key story.
I know where it's going.
Okay. So if someone was watching this and they felt inspired and wanted to write their own book, any sort of tips you could give them, perhaps on the character side, developing a character, strong characters. There's a couple of tips you could share from your own experience.
See, my feeling is if you want to write anything, just to go ahead and write it.
Okay.
Because the thing about writing is the creative process sort of comes from within. It's something which it has to be something that excites you.
Okay.
Okay. My advice is don't try and write things that you just see other people writing because you think that's what you should be writing. You need to find what you enjoy.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to work. Yeah. I mean, I could. I'm sure I have the ability to write something that I don't particularly care about.
Sure.
Okay. Because as a screenwriter, I remember writing for someone. I was writing a screenplay, and it wasn't, the sort of thing I would normally write, but I know how to do that.
Right. Okay.
But I'm not going to get the same result from that as I would write something I really care about. So I think if you're a first-time writer, find something you care about. If you enjoy movies, for instance, you might want to try writing a story that fits that genre of film you like.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
And then you find it easier to do.
So be authentic, follow your passion.
Yes, absolutely.
What are you excited about?
Yeah.
Great tips. I think that complies so many things in life. I think it's true. It's whatever you do, and writing is no different. Yeah, if it just I think the pitfalls. Just go for it. Get started. Do what you're passionate about. Do what makes you excited. And maybe start with what you know. So this is unfortunately coming to the end of our interview, but genuinely, I love talking to you. It's and I'm really I've read the first book and 12 hours.
And get the second Squared Circle.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna read the second one.
It's even more exciting than the first one.
I look forward to it, genuinely. And if people want to, so your books on Amazon. So if anyone wants to read the books, Leroy's books, just type them into Amazon. They're both on Amazon. If anyone wants to, find out more, sort of follow you, or use any other channels, any other way to share? Or is Amazon the best way?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I post a lot on LinkedIn. So yeah, with LinkedIn, you just go to Li Owugah, and
great.
You'd find me there. And on Instagram as well. Mind you, these social media formats, I'm still kind of new to them.
Okay.
So LinkedIn, Instagram, and of course, you're going to put the links for these books in your post, aren't you?
I will do. I will share.
Yeah.
I will share the books, links to the books, and your any social media ones. So, people will be able to see them and click on them.
And of course, there's going to be more Jonah Badnus books coming. The third one. Another thing as well. At the end of every Jonah Badnus book, I give you the name of the next one.
Okay,
so I'm not
I like it.
The third one, So if you read Squared Circle, it's right there at the end.
Oh, little teaser there to get people hooked on.
It's like James Bond movies, the way they used to do them, not anymore, where they'll give you the name of the next Bond movie at the end of it.
Yeah.
I like that. They don't do it anymore.
No. Well, I like the idea of that. Yeah, they keep you hooked in. That's good. Once you've got them. So what we'll do is, if when you've perhaps written your next book, the third one, we'll get you back in and we can have another chat about an update. How about that? So yeah, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed our chat on the show. And if anyone's watched this, enjoyed it, do subscribe. We've got lots more fantastic people who are going to be sharing their story and expertise. More authors, more influencers coming up. And yep, just click on the subscribe button.